So me, Tess, and Robbie have been in Indianapolis since Tuesday. Billy stayed home until Thursday, so he could spend some time with the baby before PRI. Tommy and Allison didn't make it over until Friday because Tommy had knee surgery on Thursday morning, so there was a lot of downtime during the week for us to do some sightseeing. But by Saturday morning, we were all ready to head home, now that we're down to the last few hours of the show. Well guys, it is Saturday morning. It is the last day of PRI. I don't have any obligations to be anywhere today. I just want to try and float around and get to visit with some people and visit some booths that I haven't been able to go visit yet. The kids are all getting organized and getting ready to remove the truck from the convention center. Tony and Tess have got the excursion hooked to the trailer already. We just saw them. So it's kind of a busy day today, but me, Tommy, and Allison are going to leave relatively early and start to head home. My back's really bad. I've done a lot of walking and standing this week, and I feel pretty decent right now. I took some pain pills this morning, but this is really rough on me because of my back problems, but I'm hanging in there. Let's go inside. Over the course of the weekend, I come across quite a few things I was interested in, like these shipping containers for engines and transmissions. Although I spent most of the weekend in the milling booth, I did my best to get around and visit with everybody else, but unfortunately it was usually after hours when I could move around. It was really eye-opening to see how many people were wearing our merchandise, and there was definitely a steady flow of traffic through the milling booth all week. As each person left the milling booth, I'd make sure to tell them to go see Jimmy Dale and ask where their merch is, whether they had ordered merch or not. It's sort of a running joke between me and Jimmy.
I've been peopling.
You've been peopling very well.
But that little gag with Jimmy Dale would come back to haunt me just a couple hours later.
Carburetors right here. Old man, get your carburetor tuned. Got any carburetor problems, come talk to him. He's still be here all week. Gotcha.
After Jimmy caught me at the ATM booth and announced to the world I was there to fix carburetors all week, I made my way over to the ProCharger booth. I've got a project coming up that I'm considering using a ProCharger on, so Tess took me and Billy over to the ProCharger booth and introduced us to Raven. While we were standing there were some other people that walked into the booth to talk to me and Billy, with a common conversation I've heard all weekend.
Congratulations on the new grandkid, Grandpa. I'm happy for you. I'm waiting for my own, but I haven't had any yet.
We hung out in the ProCharger booth for about 45 minutes, and just as we were getting ready to leave, Farm Truck and Agents showed up for a meet and greet with the fans. Since we're running out of time to go visit with people, I wanted to make sure I got a chance to go over to the Isky booth to see Nolan and check out the beautiful Isky Tribute Roadster that Isky had built by Dennis Taylor for the SEMA show and PRI this year. I had an opportunity to talk to Dennis for a few minutes before I headed over to the dyno jet booth. Billy recently bought one of these used and it's still sitting on the trailer back at the shop. So I got some contact information from a guy that'll come out and help us set this thing up and even do a training seminar on how to use it. By the time I got done over at the dyno jet booth, it was time to start tearing down and load the S10 up to head home. By Monday morning, we had all had a little bit of time to recuperate from the show, and it was time to unload the S10 out of the trailer. We've got a handful of maintenance items that need to be taken care of on the truck, the first of which is an oil change. The aluminum small block Chevy in Billy's S10 on methanol tends to milk the oil really easy if it doesn't get a chance to completely warm up. And since we don't have the heat on in the new shop yet, we're going to bring it in the old shop, put a battery charger on it, and let it thaw out. Once we had the truck put away in the shop, Tanner took Tess and Tony to the airport so they could fly home.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
See you in like
Couple
a few
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks. Take care of everything.
Yep. See ya.
While Tess and Tony are flying back to California, Billy and I are borrowing their excursion and enclosed trailer to make a trip over to Pennsylvania. Now, for the last year or so, we've been talking about doing drag and drive events and possibly even Sick Week down in Florida at the end of January. Currently, the only thing Billy has that he could take on a drag and drive is that 79 Mustang, but that's just not fast enough. What have you done?
So I've gotten rid of the yellow Cobra 79 and I found something a little bit more sexy. So found it on Marketplace. I haven't even asked him, but he's just tired of dealing with tire kickers. Seems like a pretty nice car, so let's go check it out.
All right. What Junior has found is a beautiful red and black two-tone 55 Chevy Bel Air two-door sedan. The car has full interior, even a back seat, retains its stock dash, and a fresh 850 cert on the roll cage. Under the hood is a fresh, healthy big block Chevy with power rack and pinion steering, a turbo 400 transmission, and a fuel cell in the trunk big enough to drive it pretty much anywhere you want to go. After looking the car over for about 20 or 30 minutes, it was time to fire it up, back it outside, where we can get a better look at it, let it warm up, and take it for a test drive. After about a 15-minute test drive taking the car around the block, I could tell by the look on his face when he came back, he's buying this car.
Badass.
You like it?
Badass.
Well, let's pay the man so we can load it up and go home.
I paid him.
Oh, you did? I was busy taking video of the car and didn't realize Billy had already paid him before he left for the test drive. Anyway, we loaded the car up in the trailer and tied it down, and Billy went into the shop and got all the paperwork that comes with the car. Billy got a full printout of everything that's in the engine, transmission, and rear end. Both the engine and transmission have only got about 5 miles on them since they were freshened up. I'm sure once we get a little bit of time, we'll pull it in the shop, put it on the lift, and go over everything before we take it to Florida. By Tuesday morning, it was back to business as usual here at the shop. With Billy's new 55 put away out back, it's time to get back on his S10 in the main shop. What are you doing there, Scuba Steve?
Well, you know, Jeremy's always talking about lack of maintenance, and I figured I'd step it up in that department around here.
A little oil change on the
A
S10?
little oil change on the S10.
All right, well, I got to run into Jegs and get some springs for this thing. Billy's wanting to test it. We've got to swap spindles, put new springs in it.
Yep, that's the plan for today.
So while Steve's back at the shop working on the S10 doing an oil change, I'm going to take the 64 into Columbus and go pick up Billy's front springs for the blue S10. Since we're only about a week away from Christmas and we're going to draw the winner on Christmas Day, we've got to get this truck finished up. And Billy wants to make some test hits with the new front suspension. While I'm in town picking up parts for Billy, Allison's working herself to death trying to get all these merch orders out for Christmas. So if you're waiting on a package from us, please be patient. We're doing everything we can to get everything shipped out so that your packages will be delivered by Christmas. Once we had Billy's S10 moved out of the shop, we put the blue truck up on the lift so that we can get started swapping out the front spindles and the springs. Billy's hoping to make some test hits on the street on this truck by the end of this week if the weather holds out. Anyway, I dropped Billy's springs off at the shop and checked in with Tanner for a few minutes, and then me and my associate headed north, up to Utica. Now, with everything that we've got going on around here, it's easy to lose track of time. And it seems like it was just yesterday that I took Mom and Dad's 55 Chevy up to House of Pearls and dropped it off. But in reality, it's been a couple of weeks. Before they began taking the car apart, they took some detailed video to document the car and the condition of the body, as well as the body gaps, trim fitment, and of course some of the wiring. Once all that was out of the way, it was time to start taking the car apart. Every single piece of trim will be removed off this car and be polished or replaced. As the trim is removed from the car, Nikki carefully labels each piece and begins compiling a list of pieces that need to be replaced. Once Nikki and Jesse had the rear bumper removed from the 55, they started to examine the back of the car and the trunk pan to find the extent of the rust damage and compile a list of all the parts and pieces we need to order to fix it. Next, they turned their attention to the front of the car and prepare to remove the hood and both front fenders.
Two fenders.
As the car comes apart, of course, they find more and more things that will inevitably need replaced. The worst part of Mom and Dad's car is the quarter panels in the trunk, but the front inner fenders are pretty bad too.
Big old hole. That's an old rust hole, so we definitely need some new inners.
With a list of sheet metal parts that need replaced growing by the minute, they turn their attention to the interior and removing the seats, door panels, and of course the carpeting to inspect the floor pans. We pretty much already knew what to expect when we took the interior out of the car, but there was one surprise found behind the rear seat. Dad had used this old street sign as a firewall back when he was trying to pass tech at the track years ago when he had the battery mounted in the trunk. Anyway, I made my way up to the shop and went inside to see the 55 torn apart for myself for the first time. Paul, Nikki, and Jesse went over the car with me to explain everything that they'd found and gave me a list of parts that I need to get ordered. June Pup seemed to be a little bit confused as to why the 55 was torn in a million pieces. It looks to me like they've done an incredible job of keeping everything organized and keeping track of every little minor detail of this car that needs attention. I figured since the interior is all pulled out of the car and I've already got the pickup truck up there, this would be a great opportunity to load up the seats and the door panels and take them down to the upholstery shop in Buckeye Lake. Obviously, none of this is original upholstery, but it was unique to this car, and it's the way I remember it since I was just a little kid. So instead of going back to an original style interior, we're just going to restore it back to how it was. So far, so good.
Yep.
Haven't found anything like crazy wrong.
No, not really. Just normal basic stuff like bad screws and bolts, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of rust.
lots of
So what's the next step of this?
What?
stripping her down.
Yeah, we're probably gonna start stripping the panels that we know we're gonna save, or want to save. So like the roof, hood, trunk, we'll probably strip those, see if there's anything to find on those. Probably the same thing with the doors, and then we need to order quarters. That's probably gonna be the next step along with stripping it. We're just gonna cut the quarters. We have the inner wheelhouses we need to do, the inner trunk sides extensions that we need to do, trunk floor, all that. So we're going to pull it over to the lift and we're going to be lifting it off the body a couple of times, or the body off the frame a couple of times as we're doing it, just to test fitment and all that.
Okay.
And then epoxy the insides of the panels. And
So it sounds like I'll be making a trip to Restoration World here pretty soon, or I'm going to be making a trip somewhere.
yeah.
All
We
right.
need a couple pretty big parts, pretty important parts, but otherwise, and it's a good thing that we did decide to do those floors, because in your patches, so where your seats actually mount, there was some real thin sheet metal just riveted in there.
Yeah.
And these were what was holding your floor in.
Nice.
The seats.
Your seats in, it's these little screws. So there was four of them. Yeah.
So we'll get you fixed up right.
Yeah.
You promised.
Promised. I did. I don't break a promise.
No.
You'll see.
Once we were finished up at House of Pearls, me and June Pup headed south down to Buckeye Lake with the interior to drop it off at the upholstery shop. Callis Custom Upholstery down in Buckeye Lake is known for doing high quality upholstery work. The last time I was here, they were working on this Model A Ford out in the shop, and they've almost got it done. So it's almost like perfect timing that I'm bringing the 55's interior into the shop this afternoon. What's going on, man?
Not much.
It's been a few days since I saw you
It
last.
has. I think we're working on the same project though.
What?
That Model A.
Oh, you're still working on that?
Getting ready to let it go. Yeah.
Oh, good. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Well, I've got another project for you to do out here in the bed of this truck.
Okay.
It's the interior out of Mom and Dad's 55 Chevy.
Oh, you ready to put some buttons back in that thing?
Yes.
I seen the buttons roll out of it.
It's a mess.
We got a button machine, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, let's go out here and look at this
Let's
stuff.
take a look.
As you can see here, the seats have definitely seen better days.
Well, we're cut out for us.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what we do.
I just want it put back exactly the way it was when Mom and Dad had the car in the 70s.
No problem.
With the buttons put back in the seats.
Yep. We can do black Naugahyde on here. That's probably what's on there now.
Okay.
It's been around for forever. It's a Royal Naugahyde. We got it in stock, so.
Do you really?
Yeah, and a button machine.
And then the door panels are back there behind the seat.
Okay.
They're kind of a mess too.
So someone has done this interior at one time.
Yeah, it's been redone once.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Probably back in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah. It's ready for a refresh.
After looking everything over, we came up with a game plan, and the guys from the upholstery shop helped me carry all the stuff in and set it on the floor next to that Model A. It sounds like they'll have it done by next week, and then they can go ahead and start on my stuff. Although obviously I'm in no hurry, I'd much rather have this stuff done and waiting rather than have the car done first and then waiting on the interior. If it turns out as nice as this Model A Ford, I'll definitely be happy. So that brings us to Wednesday morning, and I woke up to a Sunbelt truck delivering a skid steer out back that Billy had delivered so that we can unload the dyno off his trailer. And shortly after that, buckwheat rolls in.
What are you gonna do with that?
Billy rented that to unload that dyno out there in the shop.
Do you even know how to run that thing?
I'm sure I can figure it out.
I just see something getting destroyed.
Listen, you don't need to worry about that. I got a special job for you today. Go up to House of Pearls and help them with the core support and the air conditioning under the dash of the 55. But you're not allowed to go up there and treat them the way you treat everybody at the parts store.
Oh yeah?
You got to be nice.
I'll see.
So while Buckwheat's headed up to House of Pearls to help them dismantle the air conditioning on the 55, we're unloading everything out of the new shop out back so that we can move the trailer out that has Billy's dyno on it and hopefully get this dyno unloaded and set down inside the shop. Since the dyno is like 3,500 pounds, Billy had to rent that huge skid loader that's rated to lift this kind of weight. The thing is, this new machine has totally different controls than my old New Holland, so I have to learn how to operate this thing as I go. I definitely took my time because I know if I make a mistake or damage anything, I'll never hear the end of it from Buckwheat this afternoon when he comes back from the body shop. Thankfully, I managed to get everything unloaded safely and avoided giving Jeremy any ammunition to hit me with this afternoon when he comes back from House of Pearls.
Interesting.
Hopefully he can behave himself up there and get his work done without causing any commotion or any trouble like he does down at the parts store.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Well, I'm headed back to the shop. That's enough of that hack-assery for today. Now I gotta deal with some more hack-assery.
The boys are having trouble getting those springs back in the S10, so they called Buckwheat to stop by on his way home. I'll have you know, nothing was destroyed today.
That's a miracle.
Thankfully, Tanner had managed to get the truck put back together before Buckwheat ever showed up. So it's Thursday. As you can tell by my voice, I've been sick as a dog. I've been having a hell of a time getting this video done because I don't have a voice, or at least I haven't had one until today. And what? What?
Up in the cupola.
What is it?
Santa. It needs to get dark right now so I can see it.
What are you talking about?
Santa's up in there.
So everybody wants to know, will their packages be delivered by Christmas?
Yes.
Good Lord.
Look what came. My oven mitts, my pot holders. Getting them out.
All right. Because I see there's about 9 million emails asking if their stuff is going to be delivered by Christmas. I've even seen some nasty emails that say, I'm so disappointed in you guys. That was really nice. If they had any idea how many packages we've shipped out of here the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
There was one day I did over 1,000.
Yeah.
So we're trying.
We are definitely trying.
We're trying.
How many of these freaking bags are full of merch right now? You got 3 here.
1, 2.
Like there's a path. Oh, there's 2 more, 3 more.
Some of that's my stuff too, but we're down to 300 orders on your site.
Good.
Yep. Started at what, like 5,000?
Oh my God, 5,000 orders.
So we're down to like 300.
So guys, be patient.
We're getting there.
If you keep asking Vicky if things are going to get delivered, that means she's just out here answering your emails instead of shipping stuff. So.